This is Alice Cooper, and this is The Haunting of KGGO.com, a KGGO.com exclusive.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of The Haunting of KGGO.com. My name is Bowersox. I'll be your host during this KGGO.com exclusive. And for those of you who haven't been paying attention throughout the month of October, it's the month of October. We want to have the heebie-jeebies. We want to be creeped out a little bit. And we want to talk about ghosts, goblins, and everything that goes bump in the night. So, as I take another deep breath on this whole thing that we call radio, we are bringing in more people to talk about the ghosts, the goblins, and the creepy. Friends from Central Iowa.
Ghost Society.
Ghost Society. I don't know why the G was throwing me for a second. I was like, I know what it is. I know what this is.
Central Iowa Ghost Society, also known as SIG's crew.
David Milber and Jenny. Hey, guys. What's going on?
Hey.
Now, okay, I can only see your eyes, which is very funny.
Just the way it's
No, I got going and I was like, oh, is it SIGs or is it... So you guys do go by SIGs?
We can either go by SIGs or we've gone by Central Iowa Ghost Society. And it was just a name that clicked for us, not promoting anything, just... So it kind of matched up. This is when we first started coming up with the name.
It was just, I don't know why, it was just one of those moments in your head that it's like, okay, this is the name of it. I'm doing this right. So
as long as we don't say the wrong name, and I've done that before, and just when we first start off, because you were on part of another team and stuff, and switching over, and yep.
Welcome to the studio, guys. I
Thanks,
appreciate
B.
you coming in, and we're going to talk some ghosts here, and Milby. Do you go by Milby still, or?
Yeah, I go by Dave, Milber.
Because I always called you Milby.
Yep.
Was that a bad thing to do? Was that one of those things like, why is this guy not calling
just don't call me late for dinner. Yeah.
And Jenny, this is the first time me and you have ever met.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
I'm scared.
You shouldn't be scared. I'm a bald-headed guy in a studio. You go to ghost houses.
Yeah.
Did you just get nervous?
A little bit.
Okay, just take a deep breath like I do sometimes and just keep going forward. Okay?
I made a phone call and I was like, hey, you want to come in and help me out doing this? And as our case manager, and talk a little bit about what we got coming up and stuff too. And yeah, so this is all kind of new for her as well as me.
It's all right. We're going to have fun today,
Yep.
okay?
Okay.
All right. So, Milby, you and I go back a ways.
Yep.
A couple years at least. God, it's probably what?
6-7 years anyway.
Yeah. Since we first went out on a couple different investigations with a different, because you haven't always been a part of Central Iowa Ghost Society is your creation, correct?
Right. Yep.
And what other teams?
It was Central Iowa Paranormal Investigators, and I was also part of Mid Iowa Paranormal Investigators. Both have now kind of shut up shop, and they're not doing anything anymore. So moving forward with the SIGs crew. Still wanting to have that passion in the paranormal and keep it going. So,
Well, let's start there because, like we just said, you go a ways back, and you've been part of a couple different groups. Now you've kind of hit the big time. You've got your own group you're getting at, and we'll get to why you're going big time here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll get your shameless plugs in here. And see, this is the part of the show where you shamelessly take a drink of Monster.
Oh,
right
there you go. Yeah, there we go, Monster.
No, you got to do it right. You got to have it so the logo's facing out.
Oh yeah.
You got to You're still not doing it.
Where's the camera?
The camera's right there. I told you. See?
No.
Anyways, so let's start with how you kind of got into all this, because you are a passionate guy about the paranormal. What got you into this stuff?
Well, what started off was just pretty much like any other paranormal investigator that has personal experiences.
Okay.
I mean, some of the people are just curious, but having that personal experience, seeing full body apparitions to hearing things to now, okay, so some of the team members, they have gifts where they can, what you would call a psychic medium / whatever.
Yeah, I struggle with the name because it's always like,
you can call whatever. For me, an
sensitive,
empath,
right?
Sensitive, empath, and having your witnesses to back you up and support you along with the equipment, it helps. Do I go out there saying that I am? No. I just do what I do. Having my witnesses.
But what was that moment that really got you involved? That really hooked you? Because I think And I've talked about this a few times. I think there are different kinds of people out there. There are the people that it's just interesting. They like reading about it. They like watching the shows. They like, movies and so on and so forth. Then you have the people that are interested in it, but then something happens and they decide, you know what, I want to learn more about this. Yeah. And that usually goes down two streets because it can either be I want to learn more about this or, you know what, it never happened. I'm done with this.
Well, the big one was going to a farmhouse by myself.
Why?
This location, it's an older house, and there was a story behind it. And I knew the owner of the property, and I just wanted to go check it out with a recorder, flashlight, and a camera.
So it was just normal, you?
Just me. And I set the camera up in the windowsill facing me towards the living room. It's a somewhat circle-ish living room, probably 10 feet away.
Okay.
And I just had a flashlight on the floor and had my recorder and was just asking questions. Mm-hmm. It was just so intriguing because there's no one there. And there's glass on the floor from vandalism. So you think there might be somebody there, and you have those, feelings of everybody else there and everything else, but it's just you. Doing this one time by myself
felt really weird and awkward.
At first, it was okay. It was just normal, and then I'm like, "What am I doing?" But then you ask the question, start going into it, and you hear, creaks and whatever. It's an old building, and there's a staircase around the wall that I'm staring at that comes down, and you hear footsteps coming down, and you think, okay, about that point, they're supposed to be coming around, whoever it is. Nothing. I go check it out, nothing in the kitchen, nothing. Go back to my spot, and I ask them, can you turn the flashlight on? And a disembodied voice we capture on the camera. And I've got, enough witnesses. I showed the other team manager, and we listened to it, and it says, Dad, help. And then there was a male saying, no. And you hear this audio coming out of the recording, and there's no one else there. It's just me. At that point is when I'm like, I want to know more.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was initially nervous, scared.
Yeah, but what got you to go to a, random farmhouse by yourself armed with nothing but a flashlight and a recorder? That's always the interesting part to me because was it a thrill you were seeking? Was it you'd watch some shows?
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a combination.
Okay.
Between seeing it on TV to having the personal experiences to wanting the thrill.
Just being bored.
And just as goofy as I am, and it as I am, but I enjoy the paranormal itself, so I wanted to learn.
Okay.
And so I didn't know anybody, I didn't know any communications at the time, so just went out and did it.
Just Milby and his recorder.
Milby and his recorder, and look what happened where I'm at today. So,
on a half-assed radio show about
oh my God,
ghosts. Yeah. You've come so far.
Listen, as slow as it may be, you got us on board, we're good.
There you go. Yeah. Jenny, how about you? How'd you get into all this?
There were two main things that got me into it.
Bored?
I was only 7 or 8 years old, and I was with my mom, and we were on a highway over by Belle Plaine.
Uh-huh.
And it was late at night. We went to babysit my cousins, and we noticed this little white car in front of us, and it was noticeably smaller because cars were like big boats back then, and it was a lot smaller, and it was going all over the road. I remember having the conversation with my mom, I think they're drunk. And then we got to the train tracks, and there was a train going by, and so we had to stop. And we watched that car disappear in front of us.
Where was this at?
By Belle Plaine, where the train tracks are at.
I don't know. Do you know what road? Is that road still around?
Yes. Yep.
Belle Plaine by the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Was there like a story about Belle Plaine, about the stretch of road south of town, or whatever it was?
No, I mean back then we had never even talked about paranormal at all.
This is something.
So something just happened, and I remember my mom locking the doors, and I said, it just disappeared. I don't think that's going to protect us. So we never spoke of it much after that because it freaked us both out so much. And my grandpa was a big unsolved mysteries person. And they would always have these weird things happen on that show. And so it would always remind me of that car disappearing. So I didn't pursue anything until 7 or 8 years ago, and I had an experience that I carried a child full term, and there were a lot of complications, and I come home without a baby. And I had an experience a couple weeks after she was born, and I wanted to know how it was possible that you could have a conversation with somebody that had passed.
Okay.
And actually be able to visually see them too. And so I just wanted to know how far heaven was, and I wanted the answers to how it was possible.
Yeah, it's not all about just looking for the spooky, scary stuff.
No.
You're trying to make intelligent conversations with someone that has passed that might have questions for you, or vice versa. Can you help them?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And I just find it interesting that the people that are sensitives, that are psychic mediums, somehow they bridge that gap between the two realms.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to bring the bad
fine.
memory up.
But that's what makes the story so real.
Yeah.
And the passion
it's true.
so much.
And, you know, in a situation like yours, I've had friends that have kind of had the same situation, and every once in a while there's someone that, they have a kid at home and they say, "Oh yeah, I was talking to little sister," or, whoever, and it's like, "Wait, what? How did you,
how'd you know that name?"
Exactly. You wouldn't have this information. So yeah, that as sad of a story as it is, it leads you to think, man, what else is going on out there?
Yeah, there's all
Right.
kinds of ways people join into the paranormal. Different ways that, from every phenomenon, that's why it's paranormal.
Yeah.
Why my situation, why the other team's situations, yeah, definitely. And what your experience is just wanting to see something. Am I right? I mean, just it's more or less hear and feel. Want to believe
this
it 'cause-
interview isn't about me. It's
I
about
know.
you. No, if you go down that road, I mean, for me, it was always, I had an interest in it. I had, I liked, like I said a little bit ago, I'm one of those people that liked reading about it, liked hearing about it, liked talking about it. Did I necessarily believe any of it was true?
Favorite
No.
time of the year. Yeah.
But then you have a couple experiences that you just can't explain. That there's a reason I spent 3 hours the next day after
Talking
something
to a
happened.
wall, trying to get some answers or whatever.
Mine was, to make a long story short, we had a big ceiling fan with strings hanging down, and they moved one night. They moved. Like someone was going like this with the strings. It's 3 hours the next day trying to slam the door, move my arm, do whatever I could to get those damn things to move, and I couldn't do it. So, it's for me, that's what that's when it was, okay, maybe there's something to this.
And this is the thing that I can, mention about the Central Iowa Ghost Society team. We all have that.
Yeah.
We're a mixture group that has different gifts, different, ways of being in different strengths and different parts, and that's what makes us so strong.
Where would you guys be on the scale? Because there's some groups that are, lean a little bit more towards the sensitive types of things. And then there are other groups that it is all scientific and it is...
I would say we're right in the middle.
Right in the middle?
Right in the middle.
Okay.
I mean, and there's no chase either way. That's what makes it so that we have to collaborate together to make it so strong, is that some believers let's just scientifically only.
Okay.
Then you have the gifted over here. Now, if you mix it together and it works, and it's the storylines come up plus the history of the location or the client's evidence, that's what makes it SIGs right in the middle. We're not chasing anything major, just trying to come up with the answers.
For you guys, I know you have some things coming up, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But leading up to this point, would you say you're more of the people that go out to residential places or, like the famous quote-unquote places?
We like to take the private cases.
Okay.
We want to counsel the people, have them feel safe in their home, help them understand what's going on, and whatever steps they personally want so they feel safe in their home.
Do you
help with that?
Do you guys take it a step further after that? Because
follow up on them, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because that actually came up in a different interview we did. But there's a lot of these ghost groups, And, whether it makes them a good group or a bad group, they go and they find, hey, we found this bit of evidence. We
3
found
years
this
later,
operation,
4 years later. Yeah.
Have a good day.
Well, see,
that's
this is the reason why you don't see us a lot out there, is we have a lot of personal cases that we are involved with that we promise not to tell the client about. So that's why you don't see us a lot out there.
But what I'm asking is, do you do the follow-up after? It's like if someone has, a ghost that they don't want, that they okay, fine, I've accepted something is in the house, something is making noise. I want it gone.
It's just like if you have a plumbing problem and a plumber comes over and he fixes a problem and he's kind of wondering if there could be another problem. So he calls back and says, hey, has there been any more leaking? I want to make sure that the service was provided.
Yeah, are there people on your staff essentially that can do blessings, cleansings, everything?
We do have that, and we also have other groups, other paranormal peeps that we call upon if it's really that they're more trained into.
Okay.
So we have a reach out, which we call Para-Unity, where all the teams we reach out to help each other out. If we, I've worked with some of those other teams that.
Is it kind of like a best fit for the situation type thing, that maybe you guys go into a house and it's like, okay, this is a
I mean, we got to, if there's a child involved, say if there's a child involved, within a day or two, we're there with a group of team members that will assess, go in and get the storyline. Then we have historians that will jump on the case. They will do some background checking, everything that they can find up. And then we go in and do the investigation and whatever evidence within, a short amount of period of time. And if we think that we need to get some more help involved in this, is when we start making the phone calls to the other teams that we trust in. Depends on the severity.
Okay. We do a lot of, we'll do some EVPs and then listen back to them right away, because if it's a dangerous situation, little kids are there, whatever, we want to make sure if there needs to be a blessing that night, that it's done that night, that they're not waiting 3 weeks for us to get all the evidence reviewed and come back in. So it's whatever that particular situation is what we focus on.
And we do have a couple teams out there we can call. They'll show up within hours. They'll be there right now.
Even if it's Virginia?
Even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, they'll.
If we have people reach out from other states, which we do, then we refer them to people we know will do a thorough job.
And what Para-Unity?
Yeah, that's what we call it, Para-Unity.
There is a little bit of there. It seems like paranormal groups are either really like team up, let's do stuff, or it's I don't want anything to do with your team. You stay away from me. I stay away from you. They want all the glory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know if it's. I'm going to throw it out there. My guess is that they have a different vision.
Okay.
And maybe this is the path they want to choose into the paranormal and what they believe in. And then we have teams over here that have this vision, so that works, pretty close, and they collaborate really well. I work with, she is the team manager for another team, S&J Paranormal, and
I didn't say you could plug them.
Oh, that's my interview. It's my interview.
It's a little late.
I can shut this down pretty quick.
But as far as
what is it again?
S&J Iowa Paranormal,
and based out of
Des Moines, Grinnell area.
Okay. All right.
And so some of their team members work with us on a regular basis. They're part of the SIGs. So, and then there's other teams out there that they will just do special events together with us, and then others will help us out with any blessings and stuff like that.
Okay.
But,
so is SIGs more of a group, or is it the title says, society, where it's people under an umbrella?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where the society part comes into it. And you got team members in Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa. We're scattered, and we have a chain group that we talk to on our group page. And when we schedule some events, we plan it out in advance.
Okay.
And then if there's an emergency, we have enough team members close enough that we can make some calls and use that Para-Unity as well.
All right. So this is the Haunting of KGGO, KGGO.com, KGGO.com exclusive. I'm Bowersox. I'm here with Milby and Jenny from SIGs. It's not cigarettes, don't worry. Central Iowa Ghost Society. You can find out more about them where?
We have our Facebook page, basically, where you can see some of the stuff that we post.
What's the handle for it?
Central Iowa Ghost Society
Okay.
Facebook page.
Search that. It's pretty easy to search.
Yep.
With that being said, you said that you've done a lot of residential stuff, but let's talk about some of your favorite moments. And then we'll get to, as I've been teasing this whole thing, where you guys are kind of going, because you guys are kind of going in a different direction. Not a different direction away from paranormal, but a different direction, kind of. Let's talk about some of your favorite moments, places you've gone, evidence, things that have happened.
Go ahead.
Who wants to start?
Well, I mean, as far as my favorite location, obviously, was the one that started me off.
Okay.
Because this old farmhouse, the scenario.
Where is this again?
Close to Milo.
Milo?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's out in the country. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Let me ask you this about this house in Milo. Is there a history to it? Like, do people know, when you say the creepy house out north of Milo, or
trespassers?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then you get some people that have been invited to go.
Okay.
The homeowner passed away, and so now the son's taken over, and no one else can go in there, and that's it. It's done. And it's kind of run down, this and that. But
did it have a history?
Yes. So the township, off the top of my head, I didn't bring the notes, but
jeez.
Yeah, I know it, right? So the township, anyway, the story was that these three guys tried to break into the lady's house and shot her.
Okay.
And she was able to shut the door and get them out. And later, she crawls upstairs or wherever and dies. And so this township is no longer. And what happened is the people in that town chased down these three individuals in Indianola, and they were arrested. They stormed the Indianola courthouse, and with all the cops and everything, they pushed them out of the way, grabbed these three individuals, took them back. So
they weren't hid in the courthouse?
No, they were arrested.
Oh, okay. I thought
they did get arrested, and so the townspeople where this lady lived, they went and got them, and then hung them back at their township. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know if it's directly this particular house, but it happened in the township.
Okay.
So this is a pretty old house, and
so that's your favorite place. Over in Milo.
I miss it because I can't. No, it's never going to be able to go back.
Do you have any contact with the guy that owns it?
Well, the owner passed away here.
But the son?
But the son says no more. So he's a different believer of things. So
he just doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, nothing more. So
is this a guy that do you keep just asking him once a year? Hey,
no, it was pretty clear that it's done deal. Yeah, you look when you
was
look
it a
at
barrel of a shotgun done deal or
no, not so much. But honestly, just didn't see eye to eye on things, and not a believer, and said no. And yep.
How about you, Jenny? What's one of your favorite moments, or favorite places? Place that you get really good evidence that has spooked you, has whatever.
It's really hard to pick one.
Okay. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yep.
It is. I enjoy time at Malvern Manor and at the Mason House and the Farrar School. But if I have to pick something that isn't one of those big name places where everybody goes, there is a cemetery near Grinnell called Blue Point Cemetery.
Okay.
And, of course, that's where the high school kids all want to go out and have a drink and act silly. And, of course, some of them have had more than a drunken scare because there's a lot of activity there. And, of course, people think it's there was witchcraft and all sorts of stuff. And there used to be a house that people would sneak back to that I guess is now burned down.
Okay.
But
it's a good location for empathic people, that psychic.
It's
sensitives.
If you go out there on a cool night and it's calm, when it starts to get active, the trees will start rustling around, and there's so many different layers to it. For being a cemetery, you've got so many different sections and so many things that happen.
Okay.
So,
go back. You brought up one that during this month we haven't really heard a ton about, Malvern Manor.
Yes.
That's when people are kind of, I think, starting to hear a little bit more about. It's
starting to pick up for sure. Yeah.
Give me the quick and easy on Malvern.
One thing that interests me a lot about Malvern is what I do for a living is helping people with disabilities. And so over the years, the way people have been treated has changed a lot. And so you have all the different layers of what that building has been over the years, between a hotel and an elderly home, and then housing some of the insane and group home. And so you have a lot of different things you can do there as far as triggering activity.
Okay.
We had one of our team members, she is a nurse at a second job, and so she pretended to pass meds. And some of the other members a couple hours later were laying on their air mattresses, and we could hear disembodied voices of asking this team member to bring their meds.
Really?
And then a few minutes later, we had team members with their blankets being pulled off of them. Because, it's time to wake up. They want their medication.
Somewhat. They said that some of the story behind it, too, is with the doctor was really aggressive to the female patients.
Okay.
And we've had 2 or 3 team members get sick to their stomach. And they make you sign a waiver that I've never seen before. And
at Malvern.
At Milburn Manor. And it's just...
Which is in Malvern, Iowa, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so to say that one, it was just a weird situation. Then to have those experiences of...
now, Milby, you've been to Malvern, correct?
Yes, yeah.
What did you think of it? Like, walking into it, what was your vibe walking in?
The initial vibe was quiet.
Really?
It wasn't more attracted to the male investigators. From my point of view, it was quiet for me. But the females on the team, all kinds of things happened to them. Mm-hmm. My wife... situation there, we had to leave the town. She was not feeling good. It just made her sick.
Leave the town, not just the house.
Yeah, we left
town.
the town.
Right.
We had to
Wow.
leave. It was just so sickening, and it took her just 15, 20 minutes, and she was
That
ready to
extra
go.
energy that comes off of that location. I think there's a couple very dominant entities there that, like he touched on a doctor. I've picked up on a janitor or a maintenance person that maybe, in order for them in the day to get their job done, they weren't necessarily very nice, So
It's definitely a cool location for like one of those what you would call famous places to go to.
Is it kind of a thrill seeker place? Would that be?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
No, it's more of it might show you something that you may not see at some of the other locations and
I like that it has a story to tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is a story behind this place.
If I want to go someplace, I want to know about the story it has to tell.
And that's important. Like we were talking before this interview, and I don't want to stay on Farrar for very long, but that the story part of it is always really important. Because when you hear 20 different versions of what happened, it's like, okay, what really happened here? And at a place like Malvern, it sounds like the story is pretty much what the story is.
And Josh has taken the time to...
Josh Hurd.
Josh Hurd.
Yeah,
Yep.
the owner. He really has taken
The sexy
time
voice.
to interview people and dig into the history. And he's been very willing to take, we did a ton of research before we went. We made a copy of it. And some of the stuff, he didn't have that information yet.
And now
And
he's
was
using that
very
information
thankful.
that our historians found.
Did he pay you for it?
No. This is how
Why
it works.
not?
It's called para-unity. We all work together. And
Yeah,
that's
but you did the work.
Yep, this is the passion some of our historians.
It's not
That's their
about the
passions they
glory,
went to
it's
school
about-
for. So
It's about learning more about that location.
yeah, we don't want to ever take that glory of anything like that. It's just that's how we are. We don't want that fame. We're not after the fame. We just wanted to investigate and do some big things.
With the Farrar School, what intrigues me about it is it's nice to be able to go back to one of those old buildings. When I grew up, a lot of the schools were that size. And now you have these one-story, kids don't exercise going up and down the stairs. They don't have to sweat. They have air condition.
Well, yeah,
I
air
think
conditioning is proof God loves us.
Yeah.
So,
So-
but no, I get it, and I know there's a lot of people that they go to Farrar and they they swear up and down haunted all this. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to stay too long on this one because, like I said, when I went up there the one time, it's like you hear 20 different versions of what happened. No one knows. No one's ever been able to tell me exactly. Hey, this is the story.
Well, the thing is about Farrar, the truth behind it is if you're a 10-year paranormal or even a 2-month paranormal investigator, everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stories behind it. Just go and investigate, get your own personal experience, get your own plug in there, and we'll go from there.
All right.
That's my opinion.
So this is The Haunting of KGGO.com, a KGGO.com exclusive. My name is Bowersox. This is Central Iowa Ghost Society. I keep wanting to throw paranormal.
That was the team. That's where we first met. I mean,
but no, that's what's throwing me. I just realized that because everybody has been paranormal this or this month. So Central Iowa Ghost Society. Everybody shies away from the term ghost, I think. You don't. You dive right in.
Well, I prefer to call them spirits, but it was just the name that stuck.
Okay.
So that's how, I mean, we call them entities, spirits.
So it would have been
not so
CIS.
much. Huh?
So it would have been CIS. Central Iowa Spirit Society.
Could have been. And that didn't make sense. It didn't jive with the name. So,
So going back to your time before Central Iowa Ghost Society came along, we got talking on the phone this week when we were kind of having some recollections of, past experiences and stuff. And you reminded me of one that I forgot all about.
Yep.
And I don't know why I forgot about it because it's some of the best stuff I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But there's a place in Norwalk.
Where I live.
That
Norwalk.
is unbelievable.
Look it up, 1993.
That it is, when you hear the story, you almost liken it to a modern day Villisca.
It is. But
Tell
it's
us
not
about
talk. Well,
tell us what you can. How about that?
Okay, there you go. It's the Forsyth case. Look it up, Google up. 1993, guy comes in, murders the whole family.
Okay.
Long story short, and he is in Anamosa right now. Tried to commit suicide and was unsuccessful. They found him alive, prosecuted him, boom, end of story. The location today, no one has lived there since. The banks, no one's name's on the title. It just sits there. The city mows the yard, no power, and maintains the yard. That's it.
How did you guys get involved? Like, how?
Well, that was Mike's group.
Yes.
And
Mike
Kelly.
Sutton,
Yep, Mike
dude.
Sutton. And so that was their idea, their plug, and I went with it. And great idea. And we did a walkthrough with his wife Kelly. And as we talk about sensitives, she was able to envision exactly what happened that day. She saw it, the rain. Everyone was inside, and we went through the investigation, found some incredible evidence. And here's what we did. We went through it twice. We had to get permission from the chief of police.
Yeah.
And one night, the chief was off and forgot to tell his lieutenants and everything else, and they showed up.
Yeah.
And they got to go on this fun ride. Yeah, they left early. So we were good to go. When we were done with the evidence, we met up with the council members, the chief of police, and the mayor, and they had a book of all the evidence of that. As we were showing some of this, the footage, the evidence and stuff that we captured matched directly up with what was going on there. And from this day, no one's stepped forward.
And they just can't find a place for it.
Well, the original, the guy, they tried to sell it, and a guy bought it out of Leon. And he started to fix it up. 2 weeks after, done. The bank, it went to foreclosure. The bank, we called the bank. They don't even know what we're talking about. Like, this place is just sitting there.
Like, it doesn't exist.
As the neighbors around that we talked to, they're like, oh, nobody's there. Just leave them alone. Let them rest in peace. And I said, well, how does it make you feel that, that no one lives there? Well, it's quiet. It's nice. But they don't tell you anything else. They really, honestly, when you try to start asking questions.
Are these people that were there when this all happened?
I don't know. Don't know. Good question. I mean,
if family is murdered in the house next to me, I don't know if I want to talk about it to random people.
That's just it. When you were talking to them, they just wanted to shut up.
So essentially, house in Norwalk that, for lack of a better term, doesn't exist. What was the other than Kelly?
Yeah.
What was the best piece of evidence from that place? What happened that night? What was the moment that you're like, you know what, done? I need out of this joint.
Well, to be honestly, I didn't want out. That was the thing that was the problem. It was attracting too many team members. It was soaking us up.
Okay.
Like, we were getting drawn in, and we needed to get a closure on this and get some answers and call it good. Now, a couple of team members have actually they went above and beyond, and this is just something that has just indwelled on them. This is their personal Milo case.
Okay.
So, I haven't heard back since, and everything else, kept in communication with some of them, what they've, gone through on that. But there was a lot of heavy feelings in that place. the recorder that, that was another place I saw full apparition. I didn't know any evidence of the place.
Full apparition you saw.
And Mike and Kelly were on the Forium when you first walk in. It goes up and down. And I was starting to go down, and that's when Kelly was starting to feel that with the rain and everything else. Mike's got the handheld, and I said, Mike, do you see that? And I got my flashlight, and you can see the whole entire silhouette of this little girl. And it doesn't go through. And then I turned to Mike. I said, Mike, do you see this? And when I turned back, gone. And he's coming around with the camera. He saw it too, and just went poof. Camera died. All the batteries except for my recorder.
Weird.
Going back on the recorder says, Mike, Dave, follow me.
Really?
So
you're kidding?
No,
Mike, Dave, follow me.
And that room that she went to was the room that she was found at. Oh. So there's a lot of really neat stuff to the personal cases and the smaller unknown. That's another thing with SIGs is we like to look for locations that have never been investigated, maybe once. And this is our case manager to do that, to do some stuff. And we got some big things coming up with that too. So
all right, well, let's speak about those big things because SIGs is going in a direction that you don't hear much about, or at least it hasn't really been done around here. Maybe.
Yeah, around here.
You guys are going in the direction of you're bringing in sponsors, you're getting new equipment
and support groups. Yep,
support groups, and the world tour begins next year, essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Who have you brought on, and what's going on with SIGs now?
What we can announce so far, we've still got some stuff going on. First of all, went out and bought a brand new truck, brand new trailer, all this new equipment, something you would see on like a television show.
Yeah.
But this is coming from our pockets. No help with any television shows. We're going to do it at our pace, our YouTube, but here in Iowa, that's very rare to hear of. But we're going to be traveling to different states, different places, seeing some really big locations that a lot of people have been to, but then we have personal cases that we might be taking on as well. But we have obviously Phantom Light that's been with us since the beginning.
And what is Phantom Light?
Night Vision experts.
Okay.
And then we just got Monster Energy and Enterprise. And
so you got some big name people involved in this.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I may need to borrow a night camera from you.
Oh, night vision camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may need that. To tape things.
Yeah.
At night.
Well, they go to phantomlight.com.
There's
I'll get you hooked up.
Plug.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
got you.
So what is the end game with this? Because got the big nice trailer with computers in it and loaded up, equipment, sponsors. Where are we going? What are we doing?
We want real, authentic footage that has not been altered in any way, shape, or form. We want to bring the real story about these locations and do it at our own pace.
What's in the crosshairs? Like 2019 rolls around because just according to your Facebook and stuff, you guys have been 2018 has been kind of
on the down low.
The down low.
I lost my dad, and we've had some family deaths and a lot of personal things going on.
So 2019 comes around. Where are you guys heading?
We're not going to lose sight of the small cases, but we are going to head to some big ones,
like
Hills, Pennhurst. But we also have some opportunities to do some locations that no other teams have been in. We can't release those locations yet, but
are they in the state of Iowa? Or are they?
Yes, some of them are.
Some of them are. So
let me. Just because, and I'm not. Please don't say exactly where. But
right.
Is it places that people would know? Is it places?
No. Nope.
Nope.
It's
what part of the state?
It's
more southern.
Yeah, more southern,
okay.
And it's not just one particular town. It's going to be different locations in that area.
Is it well, let me ask you this: Is it in the realm of like old hospital, old buildings, or is it residential place, or
one of them
is a mixture of different things. Some of them are private residences. Some of them are businesses that are being renovated or just historically preserved.
Okay.
And the owner says that there is some activity there, and
you're really thinking about your words before you say it.
She's very smart with this. This is kind of why she does this position. So
So she has had some experience.
Some of this
that
stuff
are
I don't even know
interesting.
about yet. She does. That's how it works.
Well, you're a crappy leader.
Well, no. This is help leadership is letting her run the show on this. I mean, so yeah.
When do we know then? When does this stuff come out? When do we find out where?
So we'll be checking these different locations out and getting all the clearances that we can put it out there publicly.
So is that the
And-
end game? Is just to put out evidence, or are you going to do like your own version of a show? What? Because if you're going to these really cool places, what is the end game here?
Well, this is kind of like what we were talking about with SIGs and the society thing. You've got techs and you've got people that are sensitive. You want the TV show and you want just evidence. It's going to be a mixture. So that's what's going to separate SIGs, is that we're going to be right in the middle.
We are teaching our sensitives on the team that if they're getting something, if they think that there's a lady wearing a dress there or a little girl with pigtails, to start steering their EVP questioning to, is there a little girl here? Do you like your hair in pigtails? So that when we start getting those EVPs, or maybe even we have the DVR system up and going and we see a full body operation of a little girl with pigtails, then that's proof that what they were picking up on scientifically was there.
Well, that I guess that's kind of my question is, when I say end game, what is because it's really cool. Hey, let's go to Pennhurst. Let's go here. Let's go to unnamed spot in southern Iowa. Hey, let's train our sensitives to clue in on certain things. Is it just to get the evidence up on YouTube?
I don't think we're opposed to TV or anything like that, but we're not ever going to be one of those teams that lose sight on helping people that need help.
Okay.
But see, that's the thing about it. You never know when you're going to get that call. It's wide open. And we might have to rearrange things. We'll get a phone call, say, hey, something's going on with our family and the kids. So we have to stop what we're doing and jump, because that's who we are. And that's a lot of teams do that. And the other thing is that we are looking for locations that we can go in there and the owner's okay with how everything's going and throw on a public investigation 101, where we have the public come in, hold fundraisers, and it's at locations that the people haven't been to. It's a brand new location, so they hype it up a little bit to have some fun with the storyline.
To fully embrace it, you want to teach people so that it isn't, those crazy paranormal people.
Which gets thrown out there a lot more than people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do people say, well, I saw something, and then you get thrown mental health medication because you must be crazy?
Look, I've failed twice. I want to say I'm fine with that. I've crashed and burned twice with what's going on. I'm ready for the next ride to move forward. You have to learn to fail to be successful and take criticism with compliments. And that builds a person as a team leader, and your team goes through that motion and you become stronger at what you're believing in. And so there's some fun things coming up ahead for us. So,
well, that's usually the question, and I don't, and don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think a lot of teams think about that.
No.
What is their end game? Because is it to, we just want to put up cool stuff? Are we just, we're just thrill seekers? Are we just this or that? But usually,
they don't have an answer of just doing it all, just to have fun, do a mixture.
So that's why I asked that question of, what's, if when 2020 comes along, what does Central Iowa Ghost Society want to say they've accomplished in 2009?
Well, I can't say the announcement of the other support group that's going to be helping. We're in the process. But for example, you've got Enterprise to help us out with traveling and this and that. Not saying our future endeavors might be overseas. Some of the team members have brought it up in our meetings. Mm-hmm. We've discussed some things, and that's something that we can do in the future, to go across seas to see other other countries and just travel the world and enjoy what we're doing at our expense, not from other television groups, this and that, and just show us, just be honest, be real, whether they like us or not, be a regular personality, and we just go from there. I mean,
I think it means more to us because we're working and paying for it ourselves. We're not getting a free ride, on anything.
I have more respect for it, I suppose. Yeah.
And for me personally, I want that answer. How could my daughter come and talk to me?
Yeah.
How far away is heaven or another realm? How can we do this communication? I just want to know why. And I think I'll spend my lifetime trying to get those answers. So.
Okay. All right. With what you got, because when did SIGs come around?
2013, something like that.
What's your favorite place since 13 came around?
St. Charles Elementary was a lot of fun.
Okay, let's talk about that. St. Charles Elementary.
Yeah, we had
What part of the state is St. Charles, and I forget.
What's that?
What part of the state?
Just
south of Des Moines.
That's right. I was trying to picture it.
I've drove past the school. I haven't been in it. I missed that one.
Yep.
It was before my time.
It was an interesting
was it
location.
over your head?
So
it was before my time. Yeah, over my head, sure.
Her boyfriend got to go. That's
All right.
So it was one of those locations. I worked for another company, a garbage company, and I seen it every day. Every day I was driving by this thing, or I should say every day, every week when it was my turn to get on that route. And I got a phone number, made a call, set it up, interviewed with the gentleman that owned it, and let us come in there, and we just went to town from there. And it was another thing like Farrar, just an old location that brought a lot of people when we were there, it brought, boom.
I know why St. Charles, it rang a bell and I couldn't remember. It was Big Country Bash, one of our sister stations.
Yes.
The concerts down there.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time in that town during the summer.
Yeah.
So the school's haunted.
I would say, yeah, to a certain point, like nothing evil, nothing. We did capture some good evidence. We have an actual YouTube video of it.
What happens?
A lot of the SB7 Spirit Box responses to our questions when we went back and reviewed footage. There's a gymnasium, like a gymnast area in the gym, and those two people, they came with us later. They had their own personal experiences. A couple times when the hair was touched, to taking some photos down at the end of the hall. You can say pixelation, but it looks like the two kids that passed away.
So there is a history of
there's a history to the school, but not so much as it being haunted.
Why?
I mean, we got a lot of people that given us feedback that didn't like what we did, but we had that opportunity, open it up to the public to come talk to us about their stories.
What is it about schools lately? Because it seems like everything in Iowa that's now haunted is a school. Farrar, St. Charles. I
believe so many people have
that was their
so many
happy
different
place.
Life experiences that was their happy place.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you think about your happiest times when you were a kid, you didn't have to pay your bills, you didn't have to go to work.
It
you didn't have to
wasn't
worry
at
about
school,
anything.
I can tell you that much.
But playing on the playground,
Yeah.
and for some kids that was their only warm meal that they got.
Okay.
Because
that was home
they
to
lived
them.
in poverty. That was.
So is it more a thing of people? I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Is it more people just dropping off energy there, and it's kind of
it's more of the
history
history.
Back to
we enjoy the history of the location, and if you get into a location like Farrar, St. Charles, and so on down the road, you enjoy that the history tells a story.
Okay.
So when you do the research, but then when you go in there, and if there's individuals that are still there, spirits that are still there, and they want to talk to you, you can bring up that history and. You might get some interaction.
But that's my question. What is it about schools that is drawing people
Maybe
in?
that's Iowa for you. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the other thing that's also that we touched on just last night in an investigation at the Klondike, that if you hit a town that there's two locations that you can investigate, we've run into spirits talking to each other. The Manila School is what? 5-6
school.
blocks
That
away?
was the other one.
Manila School is the other one, and they're literally like 3-4
Yeah.
blocks apart from each other.
So there were spirits that we found last night that were talking to each other from each location. Like there were some people up at the school and some people down at the Klondike, and listening to that evidence, there were spirits talking back and forth between the two. It's like they have their own little society, their own community that they're
That's kind of where
still living.
Like literally, this is it relates a lot to us as far as you got groups over here, the people believe this, and then over here, and it's a mixture.
Huh.
And we just keep, that's exactly why society worked so good for us as far as where we're at.
All right, this is the haunting of KGGO.com, a KGGO.com exclusive. Guys, we're getting a little long in the tooth. Just because it's the Halloween season, scariest moment on any investigation. Milby, and then we'll come to Jenny.
Scariest moment is probably the first time that I was asked to help an individual from not floating. And it took a couple of us to get her out. Levitated off the ground, 6 to 8 inches on video.
Come on.
Mike's group. And I'm not going to plug where the location was, but I thought you were there that night, but I guess not. Carlisle. So
Carlisle?
No, I don't know if you were there. That happened later towards the end of the night.
Okay.
And it's on film where she starts shaking.
Yes, I think I do know what you're talking about.
And so Eric has that information as well. He was there.
Eric Klein from Paranormal Endeavors.
And so to me, that was probably one of the scariest things that happened.
I remember that story. Yeah.
And where I goosebumps to talk about it, to where I started almost speaking in tongues, praying for this lady. And the 7-8 individuals, when they laid hands to pray for everyone, you could see everyone jump back but myself. And it was like on fire.
That story of that the individual who was levitating, it was one of those stories of they almost got what they were asking for.
Amen.
That that's what I remember of that story. That it was like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't. That's
the thing that we do not do at 6. We do not provoke.
Yeah.
That is.
We treat them like they are a person standing next to us with the same amount of respect.
But that was the scariest moment for me because I was the only one to make the action. And if we didn't, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah. How about you, Jenny?
So I feel like I've been on this path because I'm supposed to be there when and where I'm called upon to help. And there's been 3 different situations where it was private residences or just out with some team members. And when they are overcome, maybe not necessarily possessed, but...
possessed. Maybe.
I've seen somebody levitate, and we were with another team, and it took some pretty big guys to keep that person on the ground. And it's a team effort to know the right words to protect that person, to bring them back, to battle what might be the cause of...
Everybody can laugh outside the radio that doesn't realize that this stuff happens.
It really does.
And this is what we push for our team, is to keep recording until it happens to you. You just, it's understandable, and I respect that they say that's just it.
One of the guys that works in this building, he was going to go to Villisca. I'm like, listen, you need to take this seriously before you just go in and just, hey, I'm going to go screw around and that sort of thing. So
you need to have a plan of what are you going to do if things go wrong, and
flee.
In
Plan
a moment,
F.
I love that textbook, of knowing what prayers to say, what's worked for years for people.
Okay.
But there are certain words for certain situations that are right for that particular situation. We had a private case where a lady, she was sitting on a bed, and the next thing I know, she's laying on her back. And her eyes were rolled back. Her feet were sticking up, so like her feet were floating, but she was still on the bed. And we had tried pretty much everything that ever worked before. And I finally sat her up, put my hand in the center of her back, put a St. Michael's charm in her hand, and she said she didn't know what I prayed about because I never said it out loud. She didn't know what I prayed about, but when my hand hit the center of her back, she said she felt like she was on fire. And at that point, she had enough energy to complete the prayer she was trying to do in her head. And then she said everything just cooled down. She couldn't get up and walk or anything. And in those moments, you're like, okay, I got to know the right words to help this person so they're not scared.
Where was this at again?
It was a case in Des Moines.
In Des Moines?
Yep.
Was it residential?
Yep.
Okay.
And we had another team that had come in to help us, and we actually did a full cleansing and everything of the home that night.
Awesome.
Nothing since.
Nothing.
And we followed up. You guys have followed up with that. Mm-hmm. And a couple times we followed up just to make sure.
All right.
Sometimes you think you get rid of a problem, but
it creates another.
But it could be that
Well,
was
that's what the
suppressing
sequel's
another
for.
problem. So you got to make sure that once you remove one problem, that there wasn't another one underneath.
Okay.
So
This is The Haunting of KGGO.com, a KGGO.com exclusive. David, Jenny, both from Central Iowa Ghost Society. Almost said paranormal.
Yes,
Almost.
you did.
Thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. I know you've had a long night. You just came in off an investigation. You have people literally waiting in the car.
Yep.
Should we just make them wait longer?
Maybe.
Go another 3 hours or something like that. No, seriously, thank you guys so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. Hope you had fun.
I got a real quick question on my purse thing. You're familiar with it. Can we talk a little bit about that EVP real quick?
The gun?
Your very first EVP. That was so cool.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have it right now, but
Here's the short of the story. So because I work with audio,
yep.
I have gone in. That's how I kind of got involved with some of these different groups, is going and just cleaning up audio, taking out white noise, making hey, what do you think of this? What do you, that sort of thing. And I went down to your neck of the woods.
Yep.
We sat around my computer, and you fed me EVP after EVP after EVP.
Which we thought. And see, this is why cleaning up makes things so much easier to help yourself and everything else. This is where he's making fun of me.
No. But
It's
well,
all right.
no. The one I'd make fun of you about is the bug that was flying around the IR camera, and you were dead set
for
that
an
was
hour,
a ghost.
literally. And then I'm like, okay, never mind. We'll go look at this, and we found the bug.
Flies around for an hour.
It flew right
no.
around like where the light
Right
was,
around
so
the
it was
lens
making.
when you're watching the DVR camera. So this
I'm
was
like,
the very
Milby,
beginning
it's
of where I started. So I learned, you learn
That would have
things.
been very exciting.
Yes.
It was a fun argument. But that you know what, that place up in Perry, that actually had a really good story
Yeah,
to it.
that was really cool.
Anyways, the one of the coolest EVPs ever.
And it fell into the story of what I told you.
Yeah, and so I cleaned it up, and we're listening to it, and I go, I know what that sound is. And I went through, and I had a sound effects library, right? So I pull up the thing that I think it was, and I put it in underneath his sound just to see if it lines up, and it lined up almost
perfect. And this was a gun.
It was a lever action rifle.
Lever action, and it was the same time period, the same frame time period of the story that happened to this lady that passed away. And it says, it's like, try and stop me. And that was just
because you heard the voice try and
Yep.
stop me, but then you hear the other thing, and and if you're watching on video, you can kind of see the lever go out,
The lever
back
that goes
in,
underneath,
and
yep.
then the gunshot.
Yep. And you actually hear the gunshot, and you put these two together of the library and the actual EVP, and they matched almost to a T.
Yeah.
And it was the same storyline as what we found in the history. So that, for me personally, to see that and your first EVP, that was just, that was really neat.
Yeah, that was a fun one. So, all right, guys. Like I said, we're getting a little long in the tooth. I appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks, B.
A lot of fun.
Thanks.
Hopefully, you guys have a really good 2019. Let us know what happens with it, so that we can actually find out where these famous places you're going are.
Yeah.
As Jenny just smiles at me.
it's
Won't
gonna
give
be
me
cool.
any
She
details.
knows. That's the key. I don't. That's the other fun part. I'm just as excited as you are, and that's kind of how it is with the team. They just do their own thing, and then they surprise me later.
Real quick, where can they find out information, or if anybody's looking for, they have an issue that they may want to talk to you about?
Well, you can email me at davemilby@gmail.com
Okay.
or Facebook, Central Iowa Ghost Society. We're going to have a website. We'll release that February,
Okay.
somewhere in there, and so we'll have all the information on there as well.
All right.
So
Perfect, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
Good luck with 2019 and what you guys have coming up.
wonderful.
Don't forget to hold your can up one more time.
Thanks, Monster. I appreciate it.
You still did it wrong.
The one place that
There
we
you
can-
go.
Right there.
Perfect.
The one place we can say that we are going to hit is the Periwinkle Bed and Breakfast in Chelsea, Iowa.
There you
look.
have it. When are you doing that?
It'll be in
2019.
2019.
Okay.
We've already talked with Jody, and we've already done a fair amount of investigating there. There hasn't been a whole lot of teams that have come in.
Okay.
over
So
the
that's something
years.
new,
So
too.
It was a funeral home turned into a bed and breakfast.
Awesome. That's the best story ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We will next
Yeah.
time you guys are on, we'll talk about what's it called again?
Periwinkle.
Periwinkle.
Periwinkle. All right, guys. Thank you for listening and watching. Don't forget to check out all the interviews of The Haunting of KGGO.com on KGGO.
Happy Halloween.
Bye-bye.
This is Alice Cooper, and this was The Haunting of KGGO.com.